Computer system validation, often called CSV, is a formal process. It provides documented evidence that a computer system does exactly what it is designed to do. It must do this in a consistent and reproducible way. Think of it as a thorough inspection and testing process for software and hardware. This process is not just a one-time check. It is a life-cycle activity. It covers the system from its initial design all the way to its retirement. The main goal is to ensure the system is fit for its intended use. This means it must be reliable, accurate, and secure, especially when it influences product quality and safety. In simple terms, CSV is about proving that a computer system works correctly. Imagine you are building a very important machine. This machine will be used to make medicine for thousands of people. Before you use it, you would want to be absolutely certain it works perfectly every single time. You would test every button, every function, and every possible scenario. You would write down the results of every test. This collection of tests and results is the essence of validation. It is the proof that your system can be trusted to perform its critical tasks without any errors that could harm the final product. The scope of CSV is quite broad. It does not just apply to the software code itself. It also includes the hardware the software runs on, the network infrastructure it uses, and all the procedures people follow when interacting with the system. It even covers the training of the personnel who will operate it. Every component that can affect the system's performance is part of the validation effort. This comprehensive approach ensures that no stone is left unturned. The entire ecosystem surrounding the computer system is examined to confirm its integrity and reliability for its specific purpose. Therefore, CSV is fundamentally about building confidence. It builds confidence for the company that its processes are under control. It builds confidence for regulatory agencies that the company is following the rules. Most importantly, it builds confidence for patients that the medicines they take are safe and effective. It is a systematic way of managing risk. By validating a system, a company is proactively identifying potential problems. It then fixes them before they can have any negative impact. This disciplined process is a cornerstone of modern manufacturing in regulated industries. In the pharmaceutical industry, the stakes are incredibly high. The products made by these companies directly impact human health and well-being. A small error in a manufacturing process could have devastating consequences. This is why computer system validation is not just a good idea, it is an absolute necessity. It serves as a critical quality assurance tool. It ensures that every automated step in the drug manufacturing lifecycle, from research and development to production and distribution, is precise and reliable. Without this assurance, the quality of the final medicinal product would be left to chance, which is an unacceptable risk. The reliance on computer systems in modern pharma is immense. These systems control sensitive processes like mixing chemical ingredients in exact proportions. They monitor environmental conditions such as temperature and humidity in clean rooms. They manage vast amounts of data from clinical trials. They also track every batch of product from the factory to the pharmacy. If any of these systems were to malfunction, the integrity of the product could be compromised. CSV ensures these systems are robust and function as intended, thereby upholding the quality standards required for safe and effective medicines. Furthermore, CSV is essential for maintaining data integrity. Data integrity means that all data are complete, consistent, and accurate throughout their entire life cycle. In pharma, this is critical. Imagine if a system accidentally changed the data from a clinical trial. This could lead to a drug being approved that is actually unsafe or ineffective. Or consider a system that incorrectly records the expiration date on a batch of medication. CSV involves testing the system's ability to protect data from accidental or intentional alteration. It ensures that electronic records are trustworthy, which is a fundamental requirement for any pharmaceutical operation. Ultimately, the importance of CSV comes down to managing risk. Every step in making a drug carries some level of risk. Computer systems can either reduce that risk or, if they are flawed, increase it dramatically. Validation is the formal process of proving that the system helps reduce risk. It ensures that automated processes are more accurate and consistent than manual ones. By investing in thorough CSV, a pharmaceutical company is investing in product quality, patient safety, and its own reputation. It is a foundational pillar that supports the entire structure of modern, safe pharmaceutical manufacturing. Pharmaceutical companies operate under the strict oversight of government bodies. In the United States, the primary regulator is the Food and Drug Administration, or FDA. The FDA has specific rules concerning the use of computer systems in the manufacturing of medical products. One of the most important of these is Title 21 CFR Part 11. This regulation outlines the requirements for electronic records and electronic signatures. It essentially states that electronic records can be considered as trustworthy as paper records, but only if the systems that create them are validated. CSV is the primary method companies use to demonstrate this trustworthiness. Complying with FDA regulations is not optional. Failure to do so can result in serious consequences. These can include warning letters, fines, product recalls, and even facility shutdowns. During an inspection, FDA investigators will ask for proof that computer systems are validated. They will want to see the validation plan, the test results, and the final validation report. If this documentation is missing, incomplete, or inadequate, it is a major red flag for the inspectors. Therefore, performing CSV is a core activity for ensuring a company remains in good standing with the FDA and can continue to operate legally. CSV provides a structured framework for meeting these regulatory expectations. The validation process generates a large amount of documentation. This documentation serves as the objective evidence that the company has done its due diligence. It shows that the company has carefully considered the system's intended use, identified potential risks, and tested the system thoroughly to ensure it is fit for purpose. This paper trail is exactly what regulators look for. It demonstrates a state of control over the company's processes, which is the ultimate goal of the regulations. Without a formal CSV process, it would be nearly impossible to prove compliance. Beyond Part 11, other FDA regulations also imply the need for validation. The Current Good Manufacturing Practice, or CGMP regulations, for instance, require that equipment used in manufacturing be properly qualified and maintained. When that equipment is controlled by a computer, the computer system itself becomes part of that qualification. Therefore, CSV is an integral part of overall CGMP compliance. It is the mechanism that connects the rules for good manufacturing with the realities of modern automated technology. It helps companies translate the language of regulation into practical, technical action. The ultimate goal of every rule and process in the pharmaceutical industry is to protect the patient. Computer system validation is a critical line of defense in achieving this goal. When a patient takes a medication, they are placing immense trust in the company that made it. They trust that the pill contains the right amount of the active ingredient, that it is free from contaminants, and that it will work as expected. CSV helps ensure this trust is well placed. By validating the systems that control manufacturing, companies can be certain that each batch of medicine is made according to the precise, approved formula every single time. Consider a system that controls the mixing of ingredients for a drug. If this system is not properly validated, it could make a critical error. It might add too much of the active ingredient, making the drug toxic, or it might add too little, making the drug ineffective. Either outcome would put patients at serious risk. Thorough CSV involves testing these worst-case scenarios. It confirms that the system has safeguards in place to prevent such errors. It verifies that alarms will sound and the process will stop if a deviation occurs, protecting the product and, by extension, the patient. Patient safety also depends on accurate information. Computer systems are used to print labels for medication vials and boxes. These labels contain vital information, such as the drug's name, dosage, expiration date, and lot number. An unvalidated printing system could mix up labels or print incorrect information. A patient could accidentally take the wrong medication or an expired one, with potentially fatal consequences. The CSV process for such a system would include rigorous tests to ensure it always prints the correct, verified information on the correct package, eliminating this dangerous risk. Furthermore, CSV protects patients by ensuring the integrity of data from clinical trials. Before a new drug is approved, it undergoes extensive testing on human volunteers. The data from these trials are used to prove the drug is safe and effective. These data are collected and analyzed using complex computer systems. If these systems are not validated, the data could be corrupted or misinterpreted. This could lead to an unsafe drug being approved for public use. CSV ensures the reliability of clinical trial data, forming the very foundation of evidence that regulators use to approve new, life-saving therapies. Every successful validation project begins with a solid plan. The validation plan is the master document that guides the entire process. It's really the roadmap that defines what will be validated, why it needs to be validated, and how the validation will be conducted. This document is crucial because it sets the scope and objectives for the project. It outlines the system to be validated, including its hardware and software components. It also describes the intended use of the system in detail. This ensures that everyone involved, from the technical team to the quality assurance department, shares a common understanding of the goals. A key part of the planning phase is conducting a risk assessment. Not all system functions carry the same level of risk. For example, a function that controls a critical manufacturing step poses a much higher risk than one that just generates an internal summary report. The risk assessment helps to identify which parts of the system are most critical to patient safety and product quality. This allows the validation team to focus their testing efforts where they are needed most. This risk-based approach makes the validation process more efficient and effective. It ensures that the most significant risks are thoroughly tested and mitigated. The validation plan also specifies the acceptance criteria. These are the predefined standards that the system must meet to be considered validated. For instance, an acceptance criterion might state that the system must accurately record a temperature reading to within 0.5 degrees Celsius. These criteria must be clear, measurable, and defined before testing begins. This, in turn, prevents any ambiguity when interpreting the test results. If the system meets all the acceptance criteria during testing, it can be approved for use. If it fails, the plan will also outline the procedures for handling these deviations. Finally, the plan details the responsibilities of each person or team involved. It clearly states who is responsible for writing the test scripts, who will execute the tests, and who will review and approve the results. It also establishes the timeline for the entire project. By defining roles and schedules up front, the validation plan ensures that the project is managed effectively and stays on track. It serves as a formal agreement among all stakeholders, creating a structured and organized approach that is essential for navigating the complexities of the validation process and satisfying regulatory requirements. After the planning is complete, the next phase is to build the evidence that the system works correctly. This is done through meticulous documentation and, honestly, some pretty rigorous testing. The first step is to create detailed specifications. The User Requirements Specification, or URS, captures what the users need the system to do. The Functional Specification, or FS, describes how the system will meet those user requirements. And finally, the Design Specification, or DS, details the technical design of the system, including hardware, software architecture, and security measures. These documents provide the foundation for testing, since they really define what correct looks like. With the specifications in place, the team develops test protocols, often called test scripts or test cases. Each test case is designed to verify a specific requirement from those specification documents. For example, if a user requirement is the system must require a password to log in, a test case would be written to confirm this. The test case would include step-by-step instructions for the tester, such as enter a valid username and a correct password. It would also define the expected result, like the system grants access to the main menu. Every requirement needs a corresponding test case to prove it has been met. The execution of these tests is a formal, documented event. This phase is often broken down into different stages. Installation qualification, or IQ, confirms that the system has been installed correctly according to the specifications. Operational qualification, or OK, tests the system to ensure it operates correctly and meets the functional requirements in a test environment. Finally, performance qualification, or PQ, verifies that the system performs reliably and meets user requirements in the actual production environment. During test execution, the tester follows each step in the script and records the actual result, noting any deviation from the expected outcome. Every action taken during this phase must be documented. Every test script, Every result and every screenshot is carefully recorded and saved. If a test fails, a deviation report is created. This report documents the problem in detail and tracks the investigation and resolution of the issue. This complete collection of executed tests and resolved deviations forms the core of the evidence package. It is this tangible proof that demonstrates to auditors and regulators that the system has been systematically challenged and has been proven to be reliable and fit for its intended use in the pharmaceutical environment. Once all the testing has been completed, the validation process enters its final, critical phase. This stage involves a thorough review of all the evidence that has been gathered. The Quality Assurance Department typically leads this review. They meticulously examine all the documentation, including the validation plan, the requirement specifications, the executed test scripts, and any deviation reports. Their goal is to ensure that the validation was carried out according to the plan and that all testing activities are complete and properly documented. They verify that every test case has a clear pass or fail result. If any tests failed during execution, the review process confirms that these deviations were handled correctly. The QA team checks the deviation reports to understand the root cause of the problem. They ensure that corrective actions were taken to fix the issue and that the system was retested to prove the fix was successful. No system can be approved for use if there are outstanding, unresolved deviations. This checkpoint ensures that all known problems have been addressed before the system is allowed to have any impact on product quality or patient safety. It is a crucial gatekeeping step. After the review is complete and all issues are resolved, a validation summary report is prepared. This high-level document provides a concise overview of the entire validation project. It references all the key documents, such as the plan and test results. It summarizes the outcome of the testing and states whether the system met all of its predefined acceptance criteria. Most importantly, the report contains a formal statement declaring that the system is validated and is now fit for its intended use. This report is then signed and dated by the responsible managers, including representatives from the system owner, IT, and quality assurance. The final step is the formal release of the system for operational use. The signed validation summary report is the green light. At this point, the system is placed under formal change control procedures. This means that any future changes to the system, no matter how small, must be carefully managed and assessed. If a change could impact the validated state of the system, further validation or revalidation will be required. This ensures that the system remains in a constant state of control throughout its operational life, preserving the integrity that was so carefully established during the initial validation project. The consequences of inadequate or non-existent computer system validation can be, well, pretty severe. Real-world examples serve as powerful reminders of why this process is so critical. In one notable case, a pharmaceutical manufacturer received an FDA warning letter because their Laboratory Information Management System, or LIMS, was not properly validated. The system was used to manage test results for raw materials. Investigators found that the system allowed users to change test results without any audit trail. This meant there was no record of who made a change, when it was made, or why. The data was unreliable, and the quality of the raw materials used in their drugs could not be guaranteed. Another incident involved a company that manufactured sterile drug products. Their automated equipment, which was responsible for filling vials with medicine, had a software flaw. The system would occasionally miscalculate the fill volume, but it did not generate an alarm or stop the process. Because the system had not been adequately validated with worst-case scenario testing, this intermittent failure went undetected for a long period. This resulted in a massive product recall when it was discovered that numerous vials on the market contained either too much or too little of the drug. This failure put patients at risk and caused significant financial and reputational damage to the company. In a well-documented case from the early 2000s, a software bug in a radiation therapy machine called the Therac 25 led to patients receiving massive overdoses of radiation, resulting in severe injuries and deaths. While not a pharmaceutical example, it is the quintessential case study on the dangers of unvalidated software in a medical context. The software had what are known as race conditions, where a specific, non-obvious sequence of fast keystrokes by the operator could bypass safety checks. Proper validation, including rigorous testing of unusual user inputs and system timing, would likely have discovered this fatal flaw before the machine was ever used on patients. These examples highlight a common theme. The failures were not always obvious and often occurred under specific, unexpected conditions. This is precisely why validation is so important. It's not enough to test that a system works under normal circumstances. A thorough validation process challenges the system. It tests its limits, its error handling capabilities, and its security features. It forces the discovery of hidden bugs and flaws before they have a chance to affect a product or a patient. These cautionary tales prove that skipping or rushing validation is a dangerous gamble that responsible companies must refuse to take. In conclusion, computer system validation is far more than a bureaucratic exercise or a regulatory hurdle. It is a fundamental pillar of quality and safety in the modern pharmaceutical industry. At its core, CSV is a disciplined process of proving that a computer system reliably and consistently performs the specific tasks it was designed for. This process is essential for ensuring that every aspect of drug development and manufacturing that relies on automation is under a state of control. From the laboratory to the production line, validated systems provide the foundation of trust upon which the entire industry is built. The importance of CSV is multifaceted. It is the primary mechanism for complying with strict government regulations, such as the FDA's 21 CFR Part 11. By creating a detailed record of testing and verification, companies can demonstrate to auditors that their systems are fit for purpose and that their electronic data are trustworthy. This regulatory compliance is crucial for maintaining a license to operate and avoiding severe penalties. However, the true significance of validation extends far beyond simply following rules. It is inextricably linked to the core mission of the pharmaceutical industry, protecting and improving human health. Thorough validation is a direct safeguard for patient safety. It ensures that systems controlling critical processes, from mixing active ingredients to labeling finished products, function without error. By preventing mistakes in dosage, formulation, and information, CSV helps guarantee that the medicines reaching patients are both safe and effective. It upholds the integrity of the data that supports the approval of new drugs, ensuring that decisions are based on sound, reliable science. The life cycle approach to validation, from planning and testing to reporting and change control, ensures this state of safety is maintained over time. Ultimately, the investment in a robust CSV program is an investment in certainty. It provides certainty for the company that its products meet the highest quality standards. It provides certainty for regulators that the company is operating responsibly. And most importantly, it provides certainty for doctors, pharmacists, and patients that the medicines they depend on are safe. In an industry where there is absolutely no room for error, the structured, evidence-based approach of computer system validation is not just a best practice. It is an absolute and unwavering necessity for public health.